الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. We're still talking about Al-Jud or generosity, as mentioned in the hadith of the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام, that he عليه الصلاة والسلام كان أجود الناس. He was the most generous of all people, and especially in Ramadan, when Jibreel عليه السلام would come down to the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام فيدرسه القرآن. He would recite the Quran to Jibreel عليه السلام. فلرسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أجود بالخير من الريح المرسلة. Then indeed the Messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم is very generous, more generous than the blowing wind with matters of khayr, when Jibreel عليه السلام would come down to him. So Al-Jud, or this generosity and the different levels of it, when you think of the essence of it, is basically the entire deen of Allah. If a person hold fast to the religion of Islam, he is someone that attained this generosity. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us to worship Him alone. And the worship of Allah and following the deen of Allah requires for the person to go against his desires, to follow what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants. This is the entire deen is about this. But not that a person would kill his desire, no, but just to go against one's desire to be obedient to Allah. So the religion is not something that a person, he desires something, he does it. No, it's time for the salah comes, a person has to go against his own desire. He might be making money, or resting, or having fun, doing something physically that he enjoy. He would leave that and he would drop all of that to come to the masjid to establish the salah. This is generosity. A person is generous with his money, with his rest, which is one of the levels of generosity. It's time for you to rest. You deserve to rest. But the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes in place. You leave that away. This is you're giving something. You're giving something for the sake of Allah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most merciful, and the rewards are great from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It doesn't have to be for the rights of Allah. It can be the right of another individual, someone that you would help. It's time for you to rest, but someone is in need of help. So you would give away this moments or this time of rest for you so that you can help someone else. This is whether it's to save someone's life or to help someone to do something, or someone is not able to do whatever. And there's so many different things to be done. But the ulama mention about Al-Jud bil-Raha, the Raha, the one's time to rest. A person would give some of that away so that he will be there for others. He would fulfill the deen of Allah, getting up even for the night prayer. This is all levels of Jud and generosity. And also there is, then you can talk about manners. Manners is a form of generosity. When someone having good manners, as we said before, good manners is not when a person is just acting normally from his good fitrah and his good innate. Everybody wants to be nice. Everybody's like this. So this is not really the test for someone to see whether he has good manners or not. The test is if someone is treating him in a way that is not according to the good manners, how would he react? This is what it shows, the one that has good manners versus someone that doesn't. So this is a form of generosity. Someone that you don't like to smile to him, for example, but you would do it. Smiling is a sadaqah, as the Prophet ﷺ, he said, وَتَبَسُّمُكْ فِي وَجْهِ أَخِيكَ صَدَقَةً. He called it charity. When you smile to the face of your brother, this is a charity because you're giving something. So this is generosity. And good manners with all what that means. And part of that is at-taghaful, when you overlook. Someone said something, it's okay, overlook it. Forgive, pardoning. You have the ability not to forgive. You have the ability to reply word by word and action by action. You have the ability to file suit against the one that did this and did that. But out of your goodness and generosity in you, that you would forgive, you would pardon, especially if it brings goodness. And that requires ilm also. And for a person to ask the people of knowledge, is it best that I forgive, or it's best that I get my rights? Sometimes to get your rights is much better than forgiving if it would lead to something that is good. And that's why, as the rule, and we mentioned that before, that al-af, or pardoning, the matter in it is very spacious. It's very spacious for everyone. But if you want al-adl, if you want justice, it's tight. Meaning that you have to make sure that it's exactly according to what justice is. Because when you seek justice, if you transgress the limit with the smallest amount, you become zalim. You become a wrongdoer. You fall into the injustice, right? So if someone, for example, took money from someone else, the justice is to have his money back. If he gets more, as a way of grudges now I have to punish that person that did this to me or whatever, then you fall into the injustice yourself. That's why if a person is not able to apply justice for his own rights, then al-afu or pardoning is much spacious for everyone. So what if a person is not able to get the matter to be with perfect justice? What should he do? He should pardon. He should forgive. It's better for him. Otherwise, either he's going to kill himself or he's going to transgress against someone else. So this is a form definitely of generosity. The ulama mentioned also about one's ird, your honor and dignity. Someone attacked your honor and dignity by ghiba, by backbiting, something like this. And this is something that any human being would get angry for that. So either you would revenge with the like of it, or you pardon and you forgive also. And many times we don't know even those who are talking behind our backs, right? So to forgive everyone, as the hadith, but the hadith is weak. The hadith of Abu Damdam is weak. It's very famous that one of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ used to not have much money, but he would say, "Oh Allah, I have not much money, but I make my ird, my honor, dignity, I give that away. Whoever backbites me, whoever does anything against me, I forgive them." He forgive everyone, whether he knows or he doesn't know. But the hadith is weak, but this is something that is applicable. Someone, you would say, if someone backbited me, I forgive them for the sake of Allah. Sometimes people, once they have a dispute, even sometimes it's silly matters or chat or something like this, they would say, وَعِنْدَ اللَّهِ تَجْتَمِعُ الْخُصُومِ. By Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our disputes, we will resolve it then. We'll leave it to the hereafter. And then we'll see who's gonna, what is this? Why leave it to the hereafter? Forgive. And it's all, for the most part, many times it's about silly stuff, right? So let things go instead of carrying these grudges inside, especially with matters of dunya, matters of worldly things. But when it comes to matters of deen, there's different criteria to go about this, because our job is to preserve the deen and not to compromise the deen, to make sure that the reality and the facts of this deen to stay the way it was at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. That's why when someone innovates in the deen of Islam, or someone would deviate away from the truth, then this is a religious duty for things to be clear, so that we are not also part of those who would lead people astray and to make them deviate away from the truth and the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you suppress your anger, as the Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Man kadhama ghaydan wa huwa qadirun ala an yunfidha." You're angry and you're able to act according to your anger. You have authority, for example. You have status. You can revenge, and nobody will ask you or put you in check or what you did, because you have authority. But you still withhold yourself for the sake of Allah. Man kadhama ghaydan, suppress his anger. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but with the condition he's able to fulfill it. But he would suppress it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make him choose in the day of judgment from any of the hur al-ain that he would wish to have. So a great reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a result of this. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned the believers, one of their characteristics, وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ. Those who suppress their anger and they pardon people. So this is a form of generosity. Another one is even to the extent of not longing for what people have in their possession or their ownership. You're generous with that. Generous with something that you don't own. Yes. You see someone rich and he has something. Either you long for what he has, or I wish I can have what he has. Nothing wrong as long as you don't make hasad. Dunya, no. If it's a matter of dunya, it's not permissible. If you see in yourself, and this is for those who are young and old, they see someone has lots of money. So they would say, normally the human being would say, I wish I can have the same. You have to push that away. You have to push it away from the heart. The feeling is normal, but to keep it and to make it a choice and to be part of you, that's not good. You have to push that away. Think of the hereafter, the rewards from Allah. Everything is by the qadr of Allah. But if that person is using his money in a good way, for the sake of Allah, he's giving, he's paying his zakah, he's not using it for haram, he's not spreading corruption on the face of earth as a result of being rich, then it's okay to wish that if you would have the like of what he has, you would do the same way. So this is a good deed, and you get rewarded even for it, as the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ about the 4 types of people. We'll talk about that later, inshallah ta'ala. But just for the dunya, for the pleasure of the dunya, push that away from one's heart, because you don't know if it's going to be good for you or not. It might ruin you, might make you among the people of the hellfire. So the al-istishraf, they call it. So for you to stay away from looking at what people they have and you want to be like them, to stay away from this and to be humble and to be satisfied with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you. When you take the full means, no problem. Take all the means, but you're content with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you. Are you not busy with that you want to be like this person or that person? It is a form of generosity. So this is a form of generosity. Of course, with physical body, we talked about that before. Every day we wake up in the morning, يُصْبِحْ عَلَى كُلِّ سُلَامَةٍ Bani Adam sadaqah. Every morning, every joint in our body, there is a sadaqah and charity that we have to give, as being grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with our joints and for our joints in our body. So فَكُلُّ تَسْبِيحَةٍ صَدَقَةٍ وَكُلُّ تَحْمِيدَةٍ صَدَقَةٍ وَكُلُّ تَهْلِيلَةٍ صَدَقَةٍ سبحان الله الصدقة, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, وَأَمْرُ بِمَعْرُوفٍ صَدَقَةٍ, to enjoin good, to forbid evil, sadaqah. And even islah bayna, when you bring peace between 2 people, this is sadaqah. So to extend the benefit to others, this is all forms of generosity. So you would find that the entire deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's about being generous. This is what a Muslim is. Being generous by being a Muslim, by submitting himself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to fulfill the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why also the people of Ahl Sunnah are the best to others, because they have the concern to others. They're not there to put down others or to, make them just to demean them or to make them belittle them or to humiliate them. No, they should have in their hearts the concern that they want the best for others. But an-nahy an munkar, forbidding evil, is one of the very difficult things. You won't be liked. You won't be popular if you forbade people from what is bad. If someone is doing something wrong, advise them with all kinds of etiquettes and akhlaq. Many people, they won't like you as a result of this, but you continue to do that, and that's a generosity, because everybody likes to be liked and for people to feel comfortable with him and so on. But when he practices what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from him with good manners, yes, this is the outcome of it, is good, inshallah ta'ala, but it's a form of generosity with one's honor, with one's dignity, and it's all about giving for the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to make the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sweeter. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على محمد وصحبه.